Welcome back to New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creatives. It is I, the mayor, Flobo Boys, in the mayor's office, hang with people who are doing the dang thing. And I don't know about you, but I was an entrepreneur by mistake. Remember when I was let go Thanksgiving Day that one year? I said, phooey, I'm going to make it happen. But it was so hard for me to get clients. I didn't have the law of attraction for business. But my guest does. Please welcome Dr. Amanda. What's going on?
Woohoo. I love your energy. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so glad you're what's called a get when it comes to this. Because I was following your profile and page and seeing that you were helping other businesses realize what they need to grow. That to me is like the Lord's work. So props.
Yeah. Well, most people are missing what they need. They always think it's like some answer outside of themselves,
Yeah.
and really they're the magic pill. So that's all the stuff that I like to teach people.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk
Yeah.
about the reason why you decided to teach, because you could have easily kept that information to yourself, not told anybody, use it for your own personal gain, but you decided to help other businesses grow. What was that moment of like eureka, like to go, hey, look, I can spread this around?
It's wild because I always see the entrepreneurial journey as a spiral growth curve. I've got like spiral tattoos and spiral earrings and spirals everywhere because there isn't always necessarily like a moment. I had a moment I decided to go into personal growth and development, but then the evolution into being a business owner and the specific work that I do, it's like such a path that you could never really plan for. So it really started for me one night when I was on the floor crying. I had left my 15-year marriage having an affair. My next relationship wasn't working. So my boyfriend had moved all of his stuff out of the basement, and I had spent the day on Craigslist looking for places to live for me and my 3 kids. I was already on food stamps in grad school, really struggling financially and clearly really struggling in my relationships. And so here I am on the floor crying, feeling really sorry for myself. Can't find a place to live because I didn't have enough money. And I was kind of like scanning my history, looking for who to blame and also who to come save me. And
Sure.
there was no one. I was like, oh my God, I'm really in this by myself. I'm terrified. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. And I had this epiphany in that moment that, as I was scanning my history, I'm the center of everything that's happened. It was like, oh, in that scenario, here was me. In that scenario, here was me. And I went, oh my God, I need to change. I'm the person that needs to change. And it was such a beautiful moment because I just had this thought like, I am willing to do whatever it takes to start having better relationships and make more money. And what came to me next was like, I'll start listening to podcasts about relationships because it was free. I could learn on the go. I was already really busy. So I started listening to podcasts on double speed and, between classes and washing my dishes and taking my kids to school. And I really started to change the way I was thinking, and everything in my life started to change from listening to these podcasts. While this was happening, the institution I was at getting my PhD, we had this like national news fallout where professors were leaving the department. People were super stressed, and I was like, man, I really like teaching, but I do not want this kind of stressful career path. So I decided, well, all of these podcasters that I'm listening to are coach type people, and I love teaching. So, why don't I just become a coach? And so I decided to finish my degree, get my PhD. And then right when I graduated, I took the leap into being a coach, and I went from food stamps to 6 figures in that first year of business. And then I just started teaching everything that I knew about mindset transformation, and it led me down the journey of many rebrands and
Yeah.
all kinds of fun roller coaster ride experiences to get to where I am today.
I got to jump in with question 1A then. That year when you decided to focus your energies after, I won't say being in a low, but being in an environment where you were using government assistance to get that first 6-figure salary, what was the months in between like? Because I know, and if it's a movie montage, we snap our fingers. We're like, I'm successful, y'all. But like that first check, that second check, like
Oh,
what was that building like?
such good. I mean, first getting the checks was amazing. When it blew my mind, right? I was like, wait, people are paying me more to do a few hours of coaching than I'm making in an entire month of working so hard in grad school. It blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. And, in between, it was a lot of learning. So, like I said, free podcasts, I just kept listening, learning, implementing. And I was in the background while I was finishing writing my dissertation and finishing up my PhD. I was starting to build a WordPress website and, just thinking about business ownership. And my graduation present to myself was to go to a marketing event because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I got to figure this stuff out. And so I went to this event, and there again were all these coaches there. And a lot of them were like, I'm making 6 figures, 7 figures. And I was like, oh my God, this is possible. Like, you can actually make money doing what you enjoy and help people. And it was so different than grad school where like everyone was struggling to get by. I mean, we were getting paid like very little money to teach and research and learn. And I had another job on top of that. Like, I was working like 80 hours a week, so I went, wow, I can like build a business from home doing what I enjoy. So that part blew my mind. So I was really one of those people that was like gung ho when I started. I call it now zone 1 of business growth, where you have manic imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
You're like super excited, but you have no idea what you're doing. And so you just go for it. And I feel like for some reason it worked really well for me because I was so inspired to help people. And I just I didn't know what I didn't know yet. So I just went for it. And I would make up on the fly when people would ask me, how do you work with people? And to be like, I would just make it up on the spot,
Sure.
and then I would just charge whatever I thought on the spot, and it worked. And then the next time I would double it, and it worked. And I was like, oh, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah, I gotta ask that question. I know it really wasn't on my scheduled list of questions because, like, I'm a presenter, so I'm a very client facing person. I do these podcasts, I broadcast, and there's always that semblance of success. My friends hit me up, yo, I see you, homie, you in the streets, you making it happen. But there's times where I'm at the grocery store buying bunches of radishes because they're $1 a bunch. You know what I mean? To make ends meet, and it's always that balance of like you gotta look for the part that you want, but then you got to be real to yourself. And I wonder how you had to do that balancing act too. So thank you so much for your insight. That means a lot. That means the world, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and so much in so many words, what is the law of attraction for business?
Yeah, so I think when people hear law of attraction, I was on a podcast the other day and I loved what he said. He said, don't poo poo the woo woo.
Okay,
I
fair
was
enough.
like, that is awesome, because I think a lot of people think of it in this woo woo way where they're like, law of attraction, you sit on the couch and you meditate and hope for things to happen, and it happens. Not at all. When I was a research scientist getting my PhD, I would have never in a million years predicted that I'd be teaching the law of attraction because it did sound very woo woo to me. When I started to implement universal laws, I realized like, oh, there are actually rules to the game of life. And if you know them, you can win. And so because I practiced implementing them and then just started learning everything I could about universal laws, manifestation, frequency, energy, habit transformation, and I started getting different results, I realized, that you're the creator of your reality, and victim mindedness is why you get scarcity results. And I was really stuck in victim mindedness when I started this process. When I was on the floor crying, looking for people to blame, I was thinking, my ex-husband is to blame, my childhood is to blame, society is to blame, first gen college student, single mom, Native American, like all these things are against me and the world's stacked against me. And once I really realized like, oh, that's going to keep me stuck here thinking that, I started to change my thinking. And then everything I tell people, Rumi has a really beautiful quote. He says, as you take a step on the way appears. So I just
Okay.
kept taking steps, and it led me in the direction of learning law of attraction. And so today, as I know it and as I teach it to business owners, it's all about getting aligned in your state of being. And what that does is helps you get into inspired, productive action. It helps you attract clients and be magnetic to money. And so I teach very specific strategies to use the law of attraction to your benefit. So in its simplest form, the law of attraction is just that you are energy, you're putting out a frequency that's measurable into the environment, and you get matched back to you whatever it is you're thinking, feeling, and believing and taking action on. And so anything that happens to you in an outer world reality is due to your inner world thinking and state of being. And so when you can change your state of being, you can get different results in the outer world.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like a comic book origin story, to be honest with you. And so I gotta ask, like, there's always that issue where like Spider-Man gets his powers, and he's like, "What's happening to me?" Now you said you're a research scientist, and the law of attraction of business does sound kind of woo adjacent. Was that a bit of like, is this working, or is it kind of like, oh, it makes perfect sense? Was it instant? Like, what was that transition like?
Oh, definitely not.
Okay,
I'd say it was
what am I
it
doing? Yeah,
yeah, it was intriguing where
yeah,
it was wild to go from this place where here I am in this academic setting where people are really smart and they know a lot of you're like they're well read and they're doing research but they're really unhappy. Like a lot of the people I was spending time with were stressed to hell and they were working really hard. Some of them like absolutely loved what they were doing and they were enjoying it. And then there were others that were just like stressed out and it wasn't a good fit. And so I noticed the dichotomy of these worlds or like the split attention where it's like, okay, in academic world, this is what they're getting. And then here in coaching world, it's people who are really going like, hey, I'm the center of my reality. I create my reality versus my PhD is in sociology. It's the macro system of oppression is keeping you stuck. And so
sure,
when I started to think like, wait, I have control of my reality. I don't have to be a victim. I can actually create what I want. I just started to feel good. And it was like, I don't want to wake up every day and feel like crap.
yeah,
So why don't I try this? It's working. It's making me feel good. So I'm just going to keep going down this path. And the more and more I went down the path of law of attraction, I was like, oh my gosh, there are actually like real answers here. And
yeah,
it works. And, the people that I work with, it's wild because they'll come to me to help them build their business. At the end of it, they're like, oh my God, everything in my life is different. I feel better as a human, a parent, a friend. I'm more confident. I love myself more. It's because it's your whole state of being. It's a holistic picture. As a business owner, your business is just a reflection of you. And
sure,
so it's a spiritual journey to grow a business, I believe. It brings up all of your fears and doubts and imposter syndrome, and it will really reveal your shadow parts and your doubts. And so, I think of it that way where I go, it's an evolutionary process.
Ooh, shadow parts. Allow me to go into my Backstreet Boys impression, but tell me why people blame everything else. Why are we so hardwired to blame other things when things don't go our way?
It's so much easier.
Good night, everybody. See you next week.
Right? I mean, if it's weird because in the long run, it's not easier because if you keep blaming other people, you lose all your power. You have no power to change other people. So you just stay stuck forever in that place. But it is easier when you go, hey, you're to blame. You're the reason I'm getting this. COVID's the reason I'm getting this. You firing me is the reason I'm getting, those are all, we can easily blame other people. But when you do that, you're going to forever stay stuck because now they're in control of your reality. And if you decide I'm going to be radically responsible for my outcomes, what that means is you've got to change yourself. So, I have in my book, like the opening quote is your outer world's a reflection of your inner world. If you don't like what you're getting on the outside, change what's within.
Yeah,
And it's really wild to see that when you just start thinking different thoughts repetitively and you start attracting different opportunities into your life, different people come into your life, different amounts of money, different just opportunities you could never plan for because you've changed and now you don't see the world the same and your energy has changed. So you actually attract easier things into your life. I used to call it a shitstorm where when you're a crap magnet and you're constantly complaining about your life and blaming other people, you attract a shitstorm, which would
yeah.
make sense, right? You are complaining, you're frustrated, you're in doubt, you're angry at the world, you're resentful. How could you attract anything good from that state of being?
Yeah, don't let your shitstorm become a shit show. That is peak knowledge there. So talk to me about the content you have. I mean, people can book you directly. You do have the book available. Tell me what you have, but is there also a pressure to keep yourself abreast? Like, are you like you are back in the days of grad school and being published, or is it kind of like a thing where it's a more of a natural evolution of your previous philosophies going forward a long term?
Yeah, I'd say grad school wise, yeah, no pressure to publish. This is all just my business now, what I do in the world. I choose what kind of content I put out there. I clearly love podcasting because it totally changed my life.
Yeah,
So, this is why I love to get on shows. Huge shout out to you for doing this because I know what goes into producing a podcast. There's a lot of energy, heart and soul, and money, time that goes into it. And for me, that was what saved me. Had I not listened to those podcasts and those podcasters hadn't put that out there in the world, I wouldn't be where I am today. So it's like a huge gift that you bring to the world. And so podcasting for me, has been a big part of my business growth and my business journey. So Law of Attraction for Business podcast, it's in its 5th rebrand. So it has had many names.
Hey.
And, the sentiment has been the same the entire time. And what I teach has been very similar. I've just changed the branding based on becoming a better marketer. But yeah, I do, podcasting, my main thing that I love to attract people to is my Law of Attraction for Business school, because in order to reprogram yourself, you need repetition. So there are only 2 ways to reprogram your subconscious mind: through repetition or through hypnosis. Hypnosis can happen through meditation, or you can go to a hypnotherapist. Easier way is to just do things repetitively in a new habit formation. Your subconscious is what stores your habits. So when you do things repetitively, you're retraining your system to get different results. So my Law of Attraction for Business school, I have daily lessons, and then I do live coaching, and it's very low cost because I know that people along the spectrum of entrepreneurship, if they're in those startup phases, they need mindset work more than anything, but they often don't have the budget for it. So, I have free trial and a very low cost program there. And then, one-on-one coaching, podcasts, book, all kinds of awesome free resources for people and paid resources.
Well, I'm just in denial. Like, I'm perfect. I don't need to change my mindset. The world needs to just give me money. You know what I mean? Like, I can see that persona as well.
Yeah.
I was looking through your work, and this is kind of funny, but I want you to answer this for me. But what, pray tell, is an Afro mantra?
Oh, yeah. So I pieced together the 2 words affirmation and mantra because you need to use affirmations in a mantra-based way to have them work. And even more importantly, most people use affirmations completely incorrectly. So in my book, I teach mantras, and it's a very specific way where, let's say that you are using an affirmation. The only reason you'd be using an affirmation is if you don't believe something to be true for yourself and you're trying to have it be true, right? I don't need to affirm, oh, I have a successful podcast, or like whatever success means. Let's say I have a podcast with 350 episodes. I wouldn't need to affirm that because I already have it, right? But I might need to affirm something that I haven't become yet. So the whole point of affirmations is to become that thing, which means that you're already in a state of deficit when you use an affirmation, right? You're already having a lack energy around it and a lack mindset. So if you say an affirmation to yourself that you don't actually believe to be true, you're creating resistance to the thing that you're affirming. And resistance is the number 1 reason you don't manifest. So I teach mantras with starter statements where you say a statement that your subconscious mind is like 100% bought into, instead of going, you're full of crap, that's not true. So you would say something like, instead of saying like, I am a 6-figure business owner, you would say, I am ready to become a 6-figure business owner. So I am ready and willing to become a 6-figure business owner is very different to your subconscious mind than saying I am, because if you want to be, but you're not, you don't believe it to be true. So affirmantras are a very systematic approach to using affirmations the right way so you can actually use them to reprogram your mindset to get what you want. So affirmantras, and you repeat them, repeat until it happens, and then you use the next one.
I'm not sure if this question is proprietary, but like, how many affirmantras do you think is a healthy range to have?
That's a great question. I typically have people, so I teach one every single day in my Law of Attraction for Business school. So I give a new affirmation every day, and I just tell people use the ones that resonate with you the most and create the ones for you that you're focused on right now. So because it takes repetition, it's a great question you're asking. You would want to choose one that is the one you're, let's say, working on or playing with the most right now. And you're like, oh, I'm ready for this next evolution of myself. So I'm going to use this one. I'm going to write it in the front of my journal or put it on the wallpaper screen of my phone. And I'm going to say that one. And every time I notice myself going into the negative, I'm going to look at that and I'm going to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until I notice myself shift into that mindset. And then I'm going to go on with my day. And then when I notice again that I'm going down the spiral downward of the direction I don't want to go, I go back to my affirmation mantra and I say it and say it and say it, and say it, change my energy. And then it's wild. I use this going from food stamps to 6 figures. I am a money magnet. Everything I touch turns to gold. So, I'd get up to the cash register at the grocery store and something would be on sale that I didn't know was on sale. And in my mind, I'd be like, I'm a money magnet. And then I'd find like 10 cents on the ground. I'd be like, I'm a money magnet. Or if a friend took me out to dinner and paid for it, I'd be like, I'm a money magnet. And so I just kept affirming. And I still do it to this day. Like, I love to create like fun energy around money. And so you can say whatever is believable to you and just use it to raise your vibrational frequency toward what it is that you want to attract.
Does it matter the volume? Does it have to be out loud? Can you whisper it? Can you keep it in your mind?
All of the above. Yeah, all of the above. So you could just say it in your mind. You could say it out loud. You could add, I had a money magnet dance to mine.
Oh, you got to dance?
Yeah,
like Nene or something?
I got to dance, So like when I get, let's say I close a deal with a client, I'll do a money magnet dance like around my office and like, really what you're doing is you're training your being, this is in money in particular, to like money, to attract money, to be appreciative of money. So like, here's why. A lot of people have a really negative block toward money. They don't think they do because they consciously say they want money, but then they feel subconscious blocks. So for an example, let's say they go, if, we were in a room of 1 million people right now, and I said, who wants to be financially free? 100% of people would raise their hand, right? Like no one doesn't want that. Exactly. But then if I said the same question to everyone in the room, said, who is? Very small percentage. Why is that? Consciously, they want it. Subconsciously, they have money blocks. And so, when we play with changing our relationship to money, you can increase your money magnetism. The 3 main money blocks: money is bad, money is scarce, and money causes stress. So I've worked with people all the way across the board from, my grad school work was with incarcerated men all the way to mega millionaires. And, across the board, a certain percentage will be like, I don't have any money blocks. I want money. I love money. And then we start digging in and it's like, oh, actually, I am afraid to be rich. Or, oh, I do believe that if I had a lot of money, people would think I'm a greedy jerk. Or, oh, money, more problems mentality. Or, so we start to dig in and it's like, whoa, I actually have a subconscious block to attracting money into my life. And so you want to start breaking those down so that you can do the money dance, enjoy money, have it flow into your life, have it, be easy come, easy grow.
Right. Well, that's fascinating stuff. And I guess I gotta ask on the other side of things that you since you're dealing in the world of mindset and getting yourself acclimated to being more oriented on that wavelength. When is it an issue where you say I'm going too far? Is like beyond the scope of what I can do? When you escalate things to other professionals? When you say you can handle, like, how do you determine what something that's in your wheelhouse and something that's totally outside?
Wow, that's a really interesting question. I would say when it's a specific like skill set in terms of business growth where I'm not I'm not the expert for that particular thing. If someone comes to me for transformation of themselves because they want better results, that's human behavior. And every single one of us can use that. Yet, of course, I don't target every single person. I have very specific people I like to work with. What's interesting when you're working, this would go for anyone, you don't want to work with everybody. And if you think you do, then you're making your business growth really hard because you do work with a certain type of person the best. And you do have a certain skill set that works the best with people. So for me, it's people, I can identify it really quickly. Like I don't really even attract people anymore when they come to me and they're really victim minded. I don't get that. People come to me because they're ready to change. And so it's one of those, I can't count how many people I've had tell me when the student is ready, the teacher will appear and they're like, you're my teacher. And it's whatever it is that I put out there, somehow that's how that gets created. Because when people come to me, they're like, I heard what you said and I'm ready for that, And so, it's about being aligned and knowing who you are. So for myself, that's what I do. And for the, business owners who are listening to this, you want to get really clear about who is your ideal person to work with. Who, if you could clone this client that you worked with or this type of person, like how would you clone them and just pay attention to that? You can even do meditations where you just see yourself working with that person and just focus your energy on that and say no to the things that aren't aligned. Because when you say yes to the things that aren't, you're sending a mixed signal to the universe. It would be like going to the travel agency and saying, I want to go to Greece. And the travel agent starts typing it in. Then you're like, wait, no, Spain. And then they type it in and you're like, no, wait. And then they're like, I don't know how to help you. You're not clear. right?
Right.
You're saying the same thing when you say yes to this type of person who is perfectly aligned, and you're saying yes to this person who's not. It's a confused message. So you
Sure.
want to get laser focused. I always tell people, narrow your focus to expand your freedom.
Just for funsies, does the client-facing version of Dr. Amanda differ from how you are off the clock at all?
I think my husband would say no. I mean, he works with me, and I'm a little sillier in my personal life, I'd say. Like, I'm pretty silly actually. And a lot of people, like my close community in my group, like my Law of Attraction for Business school and group, they know the sillier side of me. I think when I go into like teaching and training mode, I get so like I'm like, I want you to know this so much because this will change your whole world, like so much more than you ever could know. So I get into that kind of way of being. And I'm definitely, there's a silly side to me that I would think a lot of people, they might not see so much.
Well, there you go. I'll just start a juggling class and I'll let you know how to. I'm totally kidding.
I used to juggle. I know how to juggle, actually.
Oh, really? Are
Yeah.
you part of like the Jugglers Associations of America?
Oh,
That
no.
whole thing?
No, I'm
Right.
not. I
My
don't,
friend's
I
in
don't
that. It's a real
juggle
thing.
that well, but I know how to juggle.
Well, here on New Amsterdam, we have a couple questions we ask all our guests, kind of like a lightning round. Are you down to play?
Oh, yeah. Bring it on.
Do you believe in days off? And if so, how do you celebrate them?
Oh, absolutely. They're essential. My favorite way to spend a day off is to have nothing on the schedule so that I can spontaneously do whatever feels good in that moment.
I hear you. I'm more like I'm a schedule fun guy. I'm like, oh, wow, why does it say fun on Thursday? Okay, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
What would you say is your favorite junk food?
Salt and vinegar chips.
Oh, classic choice. With I think on the side, like with the meal,
Oh,
or just by
just
itself, straight up.
any way possible. In a sandwich on the side.
Everybody collects something. What do you collect?
Books.
Oh, any what kind of particular books in particular? Just kind of like
Oh
a
God,
physical aspect of the books, or like novels, or
personal growth and like nonfiction and anything related to law of attraction, money mindset, business growth, wealth building. Yeah, I love books.
Gotcha. I didn't know if you had a certain thing where like, no, I don't do trade paperbacks. I do hardcover, prestige editions.
Not picky there. I have lots
Okay.
of paperback, hardback. Audible, like I just love knowledge. Like I love reading it. Yeah, my camera, let's see. I don't know if I got my bookshelves are down there,
Oh,
but
wow.
I have lots and lots of books.
Between you and me, isn't it kind of awesome when someone tries like throw out a book that they've read and you're like, yeah, I read that before. Like, oh,
Yeah.
so you read Rich Dad Poor Dad? I don't know.
Yeah. There are plenty of genres where I'd be like, never heard of it, but in personal growth world, like I've read a lot. Yeah.
Me personally, I'm into nonfiction, but like into like corporate governance or takeovers, acquisitions, and late night talk shows of all things. So when someone gives me one of
Cool.
those, I'm always like, yeah, I went to grad school. All right.
That's cool.
What would you say is the best thing a fan or supporter has ever given you?
I'd say when I get just like an email, like a random email, often from a podcast listener or clients, or it's like when they send me something where they share how I've impacted them, it makes me cry every time. It's like that means the world to me. Like that's what I was born to do, like inspire people. It's funny, like right now it makes my eyes fill up with tears. It's like that gold of going like, oh, somehow I supported someone's life being better. That is hands down the best thing ever.
I used to think that legacy was like statues, but I think ultimately it's that if your stories get passed down and people go, oh, you made me feel good. It's always great. And lastly, everyone has a travel bucket list. What destinations are on yours?
Ooh. I want to go to Ireland. Haven't been there yet. I'd say that it's funny. My honey and I met on Match, and I put that on there. And he's like, "Me too," and we haven't been there yet. So we're gonna. Ireland's on the list.
Well,
Yeah.
it's high time to go.
It's funny. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, where did this come from? I'm not sure. It's like the green rolling hills. I don't know. There's something about it. I'm like, oh, I got to go to Ireland. But yeah, I mean, I love traveling, so I would go almost anywhere.
And Dr. Amanda, what are you waiting for?
What am I waiting for to go? Well, that's a good question. Mostly because I want to go for at least a month. because a Europe trip is just easier to do in a month. And so I have 4 kids, blended family, and our youngest is 12. So it's not the right time yet, but we'll go soon.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, as someone who hasn't been to Ireland, they do allow children to take the Guinness tour.
That is true.
That's a way to kill an afternoon.
Yes, that's true.
Well, I got to say, thank you so much for being on the show. I know you're super busy and you have a huge thing happening on your end, but if someone wanted to connect with you or book you, how to go about doing that?
Check out everything is Law of Attraction for Business. So lawofattractionforbusiness.com is the easiest way. You'll find the book there, the podcast, my Law of Attraction for Business school. You can schedule a consult, all kinds of awesome stuff. So just go to lawofattractionforbusiness.com.